Brad Sugars. Welcome to this session of your coaching story. This week's coaching story, Eric Knam. How are you doing, Eric?
I'm doing well, Brad. How are you?
Wonderful, my friend. Wonderful. Now, listen, coaching is just sort of something that came natural as a progression for a lot of people. And we'll get to that part of the story in a minute. But where I love to start this is always, what is it you enjoy about coaching? Or what is it you love about being a business coach and working with people?
That's a great question. And there are so many things, but if I had to pick just one, I'd have to say it is watching people set goals and dreams, and then watching them as they follow that path in order to be able to achieve them. Because it just is really neat to be able to celebrate with somebody when they do something that they've had their mindset on, and maybe they've stumbled along the way, and being able to be a trusted advisor and help them get there just really is so fulfilling.
It's really scary for a lot of people when you first help them set those massive dreams and goals, and then the path. You said if you had to pick one, what would be the second thing then if you had to pick two? Because I know that it's like, how do you boil it down to just one thing?
That's another great question. I think the community, the camaraderie that it builds with business owners as well. Bringing them all together for quarterly planning meetings and having them in maybe a group coaching session, and giving them the opportunity to see that they're really not alone, that there are other people who are going through this just like they are, same struggles, same challenges, whether whether they're a $250,000 a year revenue business or a $25 million a year revenue business. A lot of them have the same problems and challenges.
It's always been the case that business ownership can be a very lonely road if you don't find a community to join. That's what I do love about what you're doing, is helping people. I mean, they become friends. Like, business owners struggle to find other business owner friends, I noticed over the years.
No, that's very true. And I've done the R&D thing, the rob and duplicate, from a lot of other coaches around the US and around the world. And taking time to put them together at, like at Growth Club, and giving them the opportunity to talk about their challenges and build those relationships has just really, really been neat. And it's been fun to watch them start to build relationships outside of the coaching environment as well.
I think a great coach always loves seeing their clients succeed and stuff. But let's go back to what got you to coaching. Let's talk about your career pre-coaching and how that led you to becoming a coach. So take us back. What led you there? Take us through the career progress that led you to coaching.
It was kind of a strange route, I guess, to get here. I started off out of college. I went into the U.S. Army and was there for 3.5 years as a Patriot missile officer, and realized after my second deployment that was not how I wanted to spend the rest of my life. So I started looking around, and a friend of mine had recently gotten out, and he'd gone to work for a little company called Pfizer. They've been in the media a little bit here lately.
Little bit of media lately.
Yeah, just a little bit. So I was actually with them for over 20 years and did the sales thing, was a specialty hospital representative, was in operations, but spent the majority of my time there as a sales manager. And I think that's really where I learned the difference in being a leader and being a coach, being a mentor, and helping people, instead of just doing it for them, helping them figure out how to do it. So when I left Pfizer, I started looking, what's the next chapter in my story. And I was actually on LinkedIn trying to fix my LinkedIn profile because I got some feedback from a recruiter that it needed a lot of work. And something popped up for a franchise. It was an action coach, but it got me thinking, I wonder if there's something out there for me where I could actually control my own destiny. And I started doing some research into this other franchise, and it didn't end up panning out, but they were I think it was a top 50 Forbes franchise. And I thought, well, I wonder what else is a top 50 Forbes franchise, and started going through there. And I saw this thing, Action Coach. And I thought, what in the world is that? Is that sports? And I started doing some digging and started watching some videos. And I thought, those are all of the things that I absolutely loved about being a people leader and a coach in a sales aspect, but in a place where I can actually do it myself, own the business. So that's really what led me to it.
It's interesting how we all had different coaching experiences prior to becoming a coach. And I know a lot of people that have the sporting coaching experience. And that's what the first thing you said there, is it a sporting thing? It's almost always the way. So let's go back to that community thing, because you get to build a community with your client base, but you also get to I guess, be a leader in the business community in your marketplace. I'd love you to tell people a bit more about that, because I think that's an important aspect of what you're doing.
Well, and it really is interesting, and it's something that I don't think I fully grasped or comprehended when I first started this. I've been doing this for a couple of years now. I'm on a board of advisors for one of the local chambers here now. Through my networking groups, I've had an opportunity to educate a lot of people. When there are questions posted out on social media about who can help with this, does anybody have an answer to this? It's amazing how often now my name is thrown into that conversation as a trusted resource out there for people who are trying to learn or learn about their business or better it.
I think it's really important for people to understand that coaching is leading. I mean, it is really a leadership-based position, and you lead not just the community of clients you have and not just your own team, but you lead in that business community. And we're really proud of what you're doing with the chamber and helping out there in the marketplace. But on the flip side of that, you're also part of this community, the Action Coach community. And if you give people a bit more of an understanding as to what that means to you as well.
Well, that's a great question. I kind of stumble here because of how much it does mean to me. As I was every time I make a decision as to what I'm going to do with my life, I look at the community. I look at the people who are going to surround me, and I want to put people around me who are smarter, better, faster than me, and then use them to learn as much as I possibly can and get out of their way, right? If you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room, is the old saying. And even from the beginning, when I started the discovery process, the abundance that I experienced, I talked to Dr. Hartley, I talked to Kevin Simpson, I talked to Arif Boysa. There were a number of people who I reached out to who said, if at any point during this process you need anything, feel free to call me. And I thought, okay, that's pretty nice. But then I actually did turn around and call them back, and they were just as welcoming and wonderful as they were the first time I talked to them. So then fast forward to made it through training, starting to get my wheels going, and COVID hits. And, as a new coach, it was a very eye-opening and terrifying moment. And the abundance from the community was just amazing. They started the weekly calls. We had Kevin Simpson doing a Thursday morning call that was fantastic. And he shared, and he taught, and he coached, and he mentored, and he, gave me a pat on the back when I needed it, and kick in the butt when I needed one as well. Tom Doherty, same way, just absolutely fantastic. Don started, at one point it was daily calls for us to be able to log on to be able to get support from the community, to ask for help. So the abundance that I've experienced, anytime I put something out there, hey, I've got a client who's doing this, does anybody have a resource or a tip or a trick that we can use? There's always a great response. And I've been able to leverage a lot of things by reaching out to people who've already done it and say, do you have a spreadsheet for this? Do you have a presentation for that? And, it's made my life so much easier.
Yeah. And I think that, during COVID, we as coaches needed to lead at such a massive level that, for us as an organization, we had to make sure our coaches were strong, as you said, sometimes on a daily basis to just keep our head in the game, because there were times there, and it still is today. Our coaches in India today are still struggling with the massive repercussions of COVID. The UK is just starting to open up, and it's one of those challenges that everyone needs a coach at some point. And the question is, who are you going to turn to when those things happen? And that's where we love that about what you're doing. I just want to get a little bit more into your clients, though. If you to think of, one of your favorite clients, what's one of the favorite stories about coaching? Because I know every coach always has a fun story, and sometimes they're not just fun stories. Sometimes they're like really deep stories about coaching people through negative scenarios. So what's one of your favorite client stories?
So the second client I enrolled, first of all, I love the progress that she's made. So she is now my longest standing client. So still with us. And she's achieved a number of her goals years before she had originally planned. She's gone from a 6-figure business to a 7-figure business, just bought a building. I mean, things are just going really, really well. Started with 7 people on the team when we were working together, now up to 19 and continuing to grow, but have a great hiring process in to bring, quality people in who she can hand things off to after getting the systems in place. And we actually were at a chamber dinner the other day together, and she and her husband just ended up sitting down with my wife, Christy, and me. And we were talking, and there were two things she said. One, I did some sales training for her and her sales team. And she said, that sales training paid for itself in the first month. And I looked at her and I said, so you're telling me I should have charged you a lot more? And she smiled and nodded. But the other thing she said, which really just kind of swelled my ego, I guess, for a little bit of clarity there, is she said, when I originally enrolled in coaching with you, the investment I was making in that, I was actually going to take out of my own pocket, out of my own salary. She said that never happened. Wow. And I just thought, wow, that's just one of those things that makes you feel good and know that what you're doing is making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, if that stuff doesn't make you feel good, you probably never be a coach. It's like I've always found that the most common thing among coaches, and this goes back to the Action Coach community, and why does everyone want to help? And this is the interesting thing. Now, as you're succeeding, you're getting coaches who are just starting out calling you and saying, Eric, what should I do here? And so it's like that pay it forward type thing from every coach that's been before. And it goes right back to myself and Steve Leach, the original first two coaches, paying it forward. So what's the future look like then? Where do you see the coaching industry or your business coaching in your marketplace? Where do you see it going? And where do you see yourself going?
Well, and that's a great question. So I do have a firm. So I totally buy into the building a business that can ultimately work without me. Mm-hmm. I realize that I'll always have to have my fingers in it a little bit, and I want to. But ultimately, the goal is to be able to bring more coaches on and really start the most trusted coaching firm in Northeast Oklahoma. To be able to know that we can help business owners who want to be helped, and that's really the goal here, is to help the local economy by helping business owners build their businesses to a point where they're employing more people. We've got just the abundance mentality. The rising tide raises all buoys.
It's amazing how, you look at just that one client from 7 to 19 employees, just that coaching alone has added 11 families getting their income. That must make you feel pretty good. I know it makes me feel great when I see that stuff.
No, absolutely. It's a great feeling. And, it's nice to have that additional reward, knowing that you've made an impact on somebody and the people who work with them.
Yeah. Well, buddy, we're very proud of what you're doing. We love to see all the results you're getting with the clients, and congrats on that. And good luck with all of the rest of the growth, because that's where the fun's going to become. Because people don't realize it sometimes that, you're not just being a coach, you're building your own business at the same time. And so you have two hats to wear. And I guess that makes it both more challenging and more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about in some of your training courses about, get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work, and being on that seesaw and being the only one on it. So I'm actually in the process now of finding some people to start helping. And that's really exciting as well, to be able to start building my own team to be able to go out there and hand some of those things off so I can focus even more on making the impact on my clients and on future clients as well.
Brilliant, buddy. Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you having me.